Our next section involves another kind of crowdsourcing and brainstorming exercise. Yesterday, you may have seen it in some of the photographs played at the start of the show. You saw all children gathered around flip charts, contributing ideas, their own feedback on digital learning. It was facilitated by Accenture. And our next guests were the people who've collated all that information and have some conclusions. So before they arrive on stage, just to introduce them, these Ciara Judge, Sophie, Healy, Thow, and Emer, Hickey, the winners of the BT Young Scientists and Technology Exhibition 2013, no less. Their project was titled Statistical Investigation of the Effects of Disotroph Bacteria on Plant Germination. Sure, we all knew that, but some people didn't. So, I mean, I didn't need any more, but apparently the people don't know about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the stage Ciara Judge, Sophie, Healy, Thow, and Emer, Hickey. So, you guys are from Kinsale. You had a lot. Tell me about, you were here all day yesterday, and then working until when last night to collate this information?
Well, I was trying to get Ciara into bed at like 12, like she was still kind of working away in a PowerPoint, but yeah, till bed then.
Welcome to working life. So you collated all the information and you've been reading over it, and this is big data in action, really. You're processing a big load of information for some conclusions. Emer, what kind of conclusions did you come to based on yesterday?
Well, there was loads of different conclusions. There was loads of different questions that we asked, so we're all kind of talking about different questions. So one of the first questions was we asked the kids, why should we use technology in the classroom? And we got some funny answers as well as some really interesting answers. So they all said that it was really organized, because when you have a computer or an iPad, you can keep everything together. They said it was an effective way of learning because they all found it way more fun. They also said that they found it easier to learn by like watching videos and seeing pictures and learning about facts. Obviously they said games makes it more fun, and they said that their hands would be less sore from writing.
Oh, the creators.
Yeah. As well as this, they said that they feel that if they were using technology in primary school, it would prepare them for the future. And I think they were saying that when they leave school in many years and they'll be working, they probably will be using technology. So using technology now would really benefit them. Some of them commented that they'd be saving the trees because they mightn't be using as much paper. And they also said that they should use it maybe to learn to code, because they hear everyone talking about coding. They're all very interested in that. So then we asked them what was the best technology in their homes and in their schools. So the children that had interactive whiteboards all said that they were really cool technologies, and they really liked Word and PowerPoint for doing projects and making presentations. They all found Google Translate to be quite convenient because they could translate everything. And they said that they really liked calculators because it made maths easier for them. And obviously they all liked laptops and iPads too. And finally, we also asked them how would they like to be tested. So most of the children said that now they were tested on paper. And I was talking to one boy who said that he actually is tested on an iPad. And he said he actually found tests way less daunting if they were on an iPad. And he found them more enjoyable to do and was more likely to actually learn his stuff for it. So some of the kids obviously commented that ideally they would like no tests, but that's wishful thinking. So they said that they would like to do tests maybe on iPads or on laptops using like quizzes or games or something like that.
So then we asked them what changes would we have to make to the learning environment to implement digital technology. So they said use iPads and Kindles in every class, as was said in other slides, and have more outlets and plugs throughout the school. Because at the moment, I know in the primary school I was at, we had blackboards. There was like 2 plugs in every classroom and lamps were plugged in. We had no room for computers, and our computer room, I think it had 2 computers in it. They were the massive boxy ones, so we never got a chance to use technology. So I think that's a really good point. And Wi-Fi. They all want Wi-Fi throughout their school. A better connection of Wi-Fi so that they can use it all the time, not just in certain places in the school. So I think that was really good as well. And how do you think schools and teachers should assist in finding the info you need? They said apps. So they want to make feedback apps for their classes and their homework so that the teacher can come back to them and feed information to them on what they did for their homework, and also they can give feedback to the teacher and say, oh, we want this to be changed in our class, or we don't understand this, could you maybe explain this a bit better? And also record classes and reverse teaching. So they want to teach their teacher also about technology, because I'm pretty sure most students know more than probably me about technology at the moment, because I haven't done much coding or anything. So definitely reverse teaching and record classes. So if the teacher recorded their classes and maybe put them on a website at home, so then when they went home from school, they could then go onto the videos and say, oh, okay, this is what the teacher was saying, and maybe go back over those videos and watch them over and over again for the repetition. So it wouldn't be just homework-based assignments. They can go and listen over the class, and that would also help them with their homework. Techno time during the day. I like that one. So maybe what they were trying to say was maybe time during the day, like English, Irish, maths, maybe a time during the day where they could just do technology. I don't see how that would be so hard for them. Educational fun games. Everybody loves those. And there's so many websites at the moment where teachers can go online and they can find these educational and fun games in like a safe online environment for the kids. More STEM-based classes. So STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths. We do science in school. We don't do a very broad range in primary schools, I don't think. Technology, we're starting to get into the technology world in primary schools at the moment. Engineering, these kids want to know how things work. I didn't do any engineering in my primary school at all. So that's what they want to do in maths. Video making, they want to get onto the online world. They want to put their own projects online. Like earlier, people were making videos and we saw a few on the famine. I think that's a really, really good way to get students involved in digital technology. Partnering with foreign schools throughout technology. That's just amazing. Could you imagine talking to somebody your own age from a primary school in like the whole way across the world? Like, I'm like astounded by that. I think that'd be so, so amazing to understand their culture and what they're learning on like an equal basis. That'd be so amazing. The teacher should also be educated in technology. That's probably the reverse teaching again, and maybe having some programs in the school environment so that the teachers get a broad range of technology and know what they're teaching. And then, how would you like to present your work to demonstrate your learning? PowerPoint, OneNote, make songs and raps on YouTube. I think that'd be cool. Make rap about your geography homework, put it online, show everybody what you can rap about. Blog discussions, as they're already being done in secondary schools and universities, definitely. In primary schools, that's pretty cool, I think. And they'll be able to get their word across, not just to their family, but maybe to family abroad that won't be able to see their work. And through videos, again, YouTube, I suppose. And then how do you think teachers should use technology in their learning? Through internet searches, Google Translate, Babylon, online dictionaries and encyclopedias, and again, fun online puzzles. So that's what we asked the students, and there's more questions as well that Ciara's going to tell you.
So the next question was, how would you like digital content to be presented to you in school? So obviously if the students are going to be receiving digital content, they should receive it in the way that they want to so that they can actually interpret the data that they're getting in the best way that they can. The most popular answer was PowerPoint, which I actually think is a really positive thing because it means that the children themselves are aware of the fact that PowerPoint is actually a really useful tool for education and for business. And it moves away from a lot of what they were saying, which is that they wanted to use technology for entertainment. And I don't know, but making a PowerPoint presentation, I enjoyed making this one. That's why I was up at 12 o'clock last night. But I'm not sure every 7 or 8-year-old primary school child would think of PowerPoint and entertainment. Skype came up an awful lot in every question, which just means that it's obviously something that young children are very aware of. And it's a very powerful tool, as Sophie was saying earlier. Skyping, for instance, this could actually be used, say, for first-year French students. Skype a school in France, and students can communicate with each other. They can talk about anything. They can talk about anything they want, but they're still learning about French culture and the French language. They wanted to use digital applications like Google Earth and Google Maps for geography, which I think is quite interesting actually, because on the geography syllabus is a whole section on map reading, but it says nothing about Google Maps. And let's face it, that's where everyone gets their maps nowadays. I had to get a map to actually get to this place from the hotel, and it was Google Maps I went to. And they said that they'd like to use Google Earth, maybe for history or for geography. I was actually in UCC in the zoology department, and I was working with a PhD student who spent the morning, rather than educating me about zoology, he spent the morning showing me pictures of, he had been on Google Earth, just looking around Google Earth, and showing me pictures of old ruins of forts that he had found in the middle of nowhere, which he was very proud of. So if that can engage a PhD student, surely it can engage a primary school student. They wanted to use online games to kind of receive digital content, which I think is, it's quite fitting to the age group that we were talking to yesterday, as enjoyment in education is a massive factor for them, and it should be. And they also wanted to use e-readers and Kindles, which I think is great, the use of e-readers and Kindles, but in my own personal opinion, for the moment, our funds could actually be better spent on the above and on training teachers to use the above. Just because, we have a lot of books in our bag, but we can manage for the moment, I know myself. We then asked them how would they like to use digital technology in school. So they said computer programs like Spotify, Twitch, Instagram, and Snapchat. Now, I'm spotting a bit of a problem here in that, certainly for myself, I'm on Instagram and Snapchat. I don't exactly see myself how that could actually be used for education. It's great for entertainment, and obviously kids are using this at home, which means that they're aware of it, which is great because we can see that kids are using technology at home, but I can't personally see how that would actually come into the education system. Skype came up again a very, very popular choice yesterday. And then internet sites such as Skullnet and Code Academy. I'm actually a member of Code Academy myself, so Code Academy up. And also came up yesterday, not on the slide, Khan Academy, where they learned maths. Now, Sean O'Sullivan gave a speech in my area recently about Mathletes and Code Academy. And Mathletes is in its first year, and if I remember my facts correctly, 1.5% of Irish students took part. And with that small percentage, the use of Khan Academy quadrupled in Ireland. So imagine if we could double the percentage of students that that participate in Mathletes next year. We could multiply the use of Khan Academy and then multiply the use of actually interactive mathematics by 10 times, which is just, it's incredible to even think of it. A point that I have here, which came up a lot in every question yesterday, is kids said that they could use Wikipedia. Now, I've got a bit of an opinion on this. This is why, yeah, I've got a bit of an opinion on everything, as you're probably finding out. This is the reason we need digital education. Wikipedia, I think we all know, is not a reliable source of information. And the fact that primary school students, whenever they think of getting information on the internet, they automatically jump to Wikipedia. We need to educate our students in using digital technology, not only for enjoyment, but in education and in business, so that maybe in the future generations, by the time children are this age, they'll realize that if they want information, Wikipedia, really, it's not the place to go. The last question, which I think is an incredibly important question, is can students be trusted to use digital technology responsibly? Now, I personally was astounded by the awareness of cyberbullying in this question, because I spent a lot of time at this station yesterday when I was going around making notes. The children themselves were actually very concerned with the subject of cyberbullying. They were incredibly aware of it, and they even had suggestions of sites that could be used to block social media sites, perhaps, that could actually lead to cyberbullying taking place in schools. So, and I know that most schools actually have some sort of firewall against that already. So that will just have to be reinforced if we were going to implement more digital technology in schools. Now, I'm sure everyone's cringing looking at the state of that iPad on the stage, but unfortunately that's a bit of a reality if we're going to be using digital technology in schools. We're dealing with 7 and 8-year-olds, and if we're going to be supplying them with iPads, there's going to be some accidents. So they said that themselves, and their own suggestions actually were that the devices should first of all stay in school, and that their teachers could teach them how to use the devices carefully. So hopefully what we see on screen, we won't be seeing too often in our schools. So now we've heard the voice of our students, and we need to actually analyse what they've said in the context of the digital strategy for schools, because this is really what it's all about. So just a brief overview of what the digital strategy for schools is for those of you who aren't as familiar with the initiative. So it's all about determining the part that digital technology is going to play in the future of the education system, which in my opinion is really important, because we know that we're moving towards a digital world and we can't leave education in the past. Education has to be blazing the path to the future. It was launched by Minister Rory Quinn in December, and it seeks to answer questions such as, what is the actual benefit of using ICT in schools, and how will we measure progress, which I think is actually quite an interesting question. And there was when Minister Rory Quinn launched it on December 2nd, he actually launched the consultation process. So I think it's interesting that what we saw yesterday out there was the actual students being consulted as part of the process. So the conclusions that we would advise from listening to those students for the digital strategy for schools are, you should use technology for both enjoyment and organizational learning. So if you're enjoying school, you're going to absorb the information so much more. Improved access to broadband needs to be provided. I know as part of the EU digital agenda, there's a whole section on providing broadband to Europe, so I'm pretty sure that's on track. So that should hopefully help our government in providing broadband to the patchier parts of Ireland already. Cyberbullying, yeah, we will have to put in some cyberbullying protection measures. There will have to be some training for both teachers and students on the care of the equipment, just so that we don't have any accidents like we saw in that slide back there. Use of computer programs and internet sites and Skype. So internet sites like SkullNet, Code Academy, Khan Academy, and tests would be more enjoyable on digital devices. Now, one quote, I was speaking to a young boy yesterday. It's actually one of the boys in that picture. I was speaking to him yesterday and I asked him, he actually uses tablets in his everyday school. I think that he's one of the pilot schools. And he said, I like using tablets to do tests because it doesn't even feel like I'm doing work. Now, if that's the effect that digital technology can have on young people in their education, that they don't even feel like they're working, then there is no limit to it. So, yeah, there's just no limit to it whatsoever, and it's incredible what digital technology can do for the education system. So, yeah.
Also, I'd just like to thank all the organisers as well for letting the younger people have a voice in this whole event, because I think that's really important that we're heard as well. Yeah, so thanks.
Round of applause there. Ciara, Emer. Ciara, Emer and Sophie there. And I'm pleased to announce the girls will be hiring some of you later on.